All right. Welcome everybody to tonight's testimonial where we get to hear Jodee Trost's story about, how she got introduced to the patches and how she is doing and what she's experienced thus far. I'll do a brief introduction for myself. I'm Dr. Caroline Williams. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and I'm currently in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have been using LifeWave patches myself and also with patients for about a year and a half. And yes, Nikki is my co-host tonight, Nikki McCutchen, and who's an amazing, inspiring co-host and partner. And Nikki, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. We are so excited that you all are here tonight. Someone must really care about you who wants you to know about this technology that invited you to this call tonight. The call tonight will be for 30 minutes. And if we have new people on the call tonight, we will be talking about the X39 patch that activates this amazing peptide in our bodies. And hopefully Dr. Caroline will have enough time to answer some of your questions. We'll go ahead and get started with our medical disclaimer. Dr. Caroline is a functional medicine doctor and a chiropractor, but she is most likely not your doctor. So tonight, the information we'll be sharing is for informational purposes only. If you have any medical conditions, please check with your physician or healthcare practitioner. All LifeWave patches are not intended to treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent any disease. If you are on medications or have a medical condition or are pregnant or nursing, please check with your physician first. So I am so excited tonight to introduce you to my new friend, Jodee, and have her tell you about her story. Y'all are just going to be so amazed. It's so cool. I'm so excited for her. So Jodee, if you will just get started in telling us about how you heard about the patches and what made you decide to use the patches.
Okay, I am so excited to be here tonight because LifeWave is life changing for me and for our friends. So I'm really excited. So my first intro to it was a friend at church who came up to me and said, I have so much joy. I'm so excited. And I said, what? And she previously had lots of pain, lots of stress, and was exhausted continually. And she said, I'm pain-free. I have so much joy and I'm not exhausted. And so, of course, I said, what? And so anyway, she told me LifeWave, and I started looking into it. I like to dig and find out things. And I found out, actually, I was telling a friend who's staying with us that I was looking into this. And he said, I think my daughter's in that. So that's how Aaron and you ended up coming to my house, signing me up. And that was one of the best lights of my life because it's so life-changing. So the first thing I noticed, so I started on the patches X39. That's the only one I was doing. The first thing I noticed was sleep. So I put the patch on, had it on for 12 hours, took it off. And then I went, okay, now I'm going to go to bed. And I'm not taking melatonin or L-tryptophan or anything like that. Actually, I had finally gone to my doctor and gotten sleeping pills because I couldn't sleep. I'd sleep for like an hour and a half. So I went to bed and always read because my mind goes everywhere. And if I put a book in front of me, I can read and usually helps me fall asleep. Well, I read for about 15 minutes and I fell asleep and I slept the whole night. And I have slept every night since then with X39, which is a miracle. Except I have a couple of nights where I do wake up early, like 4 or 5, because I'm going to talk to somebody and tell them about LifeWave, and I'm so excited I can see myself. So I do kind of wake up for that, but otherwise sleeping good. So the next thing I noted, before that, I get attacks of IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And so I was in the middle of one of them when I just started LifeWave. And so I went, and I stuck a patch on my stomach. And all of a sudden, the symptoms stopped, like within 10 minutes. And that doesn't happen. I usually have to take medication and different things like that to get that to quit. So that was exciting. So the next thing I noticed, and this was like 2 weeks into it, maybe 3, all of a sudden I noticed my brain was working. And I'm 77, so I've been having brain issues for a while. I can start to tell you a story, and all of a sudden, halfway through the story, I forget what I'm talking about. Or you may be talking about something, and I'll want to question you. So you take a pause, and I start my question, and it's gone. And it's so frustrating. That's not happening anymore. My brain is functioning. Like, I don't know how old I was, but my goodness, is so good. And I've been crash coursing on LifeWave, and it's sticking. And I've been doing all kinds of things, putting things together to make this business work, which I actually consider more a ministry than a business because it's so cool to help people. Anyway, my brain's handling it. I'm not being overtaxed, not having issues. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. So another thing that happened, this happened to both me and my husband. We went to our kids' beach house and walked on the sand, and that's not good for our hips. And so both of us kind of came back aching with a hip, and we tried TENS unit and doing this and that, and things weren't working. I went, well, what would happen if we patched our hip? So we did, and the pain's gone. The pain's gone. It just goes so quickly. And my last thing, oh, I have to say, oh yeah, the other thing, my hubby, I noticed Don has stopped asking me questions over and over and over again. He'll ask me a question and I answer him and he goes, okay, and he goes away and he remembers. So he's having brain issues too. I know, it's like so exciting. Okay, so the last one is I've had 2 attacks of diverticulitis, and that's very painful, and long medical antibiotics and stuff like that. It's not fun. And on Saturday, last Saturday, I start kind of going, Sunday, I'm going, and Monday, I'm going, because I realized it was an attack and it was getting me. Again, this time I took an Eon and I stuck it on my gut, like 5 inches below my belly button. And within 10 minutes, the pain was gone and no symptoms. That's outrageous. So I do realize one thing, that my body evidently really likes LifeWave. It seems to receive and adjust itself to whatever I put on it, because I'm having immediate results almost on everything. And I know that's not normal. I know, like, was it Linnea? How do I pronounce it?
Yeah.
Leon.
Anyway, she said 7 months. That's normal. So I'm just blessed and excited that it happened so fast.
And
And
tell
I
us
can't-
also about your doctor's appointment the other day.
That wasn't mine. That was Char's.
Oh, that was Char's with the
It was
kidney disease?
Char after a week.
I thought that was yours with the
No.
blood work. Oh, Char, you're gonna definitely have to come on.
I know, she has to. She has to. Yeah, that was
Okay.
Char. I just passed on what she said because I was so excited. Yeah, I haven't had anything. I'm excited because of her blood work. We would get a physical every year from my husband's union. I can't wait to get the physical again and see what changes, because that'll be like next August. So I'm going to be 24 by then, I'm sure. Right?
Absolutely. That's awesome. I
Exactly.
absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
that is so great, Jody. Hip pain gone instantly, diverticulitis pain and symptoms removed.
Yeah.
Instantly. And now, how long have you been on the patches from when you started?
Do you remember when you came to my house? I think it was like end of October, just before November.
So you hadn't had, Aaron didn't give you patches before
He
then.
gave me something. Yeah, because I had the X39 to sleep. So maybe 2 days before that or something like that.
Oh, is
So it was,
all. Okay,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
real
I
close
thought
to
you
that time.
used them
Yeah.
for longer. Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So yeah, so just since the end of October, so that's like, where are we at? So 2 months now. You've been using the
Mhm.
patches for 2 months. So
Mhm.
that's amazing. So
It's
I love it.
outrageous.
Yes. So Dr. Caroline, tell us, how could this happen? What is going on with the X39 patch that causes all these amazing things to happen in our body?
Well, good question. Jody, I just want to say thank you for sharing your testimonial. It's amazing, like you said, that you're seeing these results so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, in my mind, the fact that you're seeing these so quickly just says that there's more to come with
Mhm.
consistent use, right? So I'm excited to hear over the next few months what else you experience. So as you mentioned, reduction in hip pain, improved sleep, improved memory, um, your reduction in pain with gut challenges. All this is significant, especially because this is drug free, right?
Mhm.
There's no drugs involved, no chemicals involved. Strictly just the patch, which is photobiomodulation. That's what it's called, how it works, and it sends a signal into your body to create a physiological response. So, Jody, you asked specifically about X39. So X39 is their stem cell patch, which helps with increasing stem cell production, right? Your own stem cells, it's not putting any kind of stem cells in, it's stimulating your own stem cell production, okay, via something called GHKCU, which is a copper peptide. And this then stimulates the stem cell production, which is super exciting. There's tons of research to back this up as far as like how this works. More and more people are going to be seeing so much more about GHKCU. There's a lot about peptides now in terms of how different peptides influence health and cellular function. But we're going to see more and more. And I literally sent our group ad for a oral product of GHKCU, which is far inferior to the patches, right? Because you want to produce your own, you want to stimulate your own production, which is way superior to, again, any kind of chemical approach that you're going to take orally. Okay. Because the digestive system needs to be involved in that situation. And, you're not going to absorb all of that, right? Anyway, so going into more of what X39 does with stem cell production, stem cells, I'm not sure how many of you know, much you guys know about stem cells, but stem cells, what we've seen with that is that stem cells can be made into any other type of cell that the body needs for repair. So the innate intelligence that runs the body basically is going to help determine what's most important in any given time, what needs the most repair. It's going to go in a triage fashion and do the repair. So this patch stimulating stem cell production then will produce the cells that are most important initially, right? So I know you guys mentioned kidneys earlier, right? So if somebody has damage to their kidneys and it's important for their survival that those kidneys be repaired, that's the first thing that's going to be addressed. That's how the stem cells will be used. Change those stem cells into the cells that are needed for the repair. So this is cutting edge. This is changing people's lives dramatically, because things can be repaired that we didn't think were, or we've been told by allopathic medicine were not possible. So we're seeing major changes in people's bodies and function as far as since this patch has come out. So super exciting. Does anybody else have any other questions or have anything to share about X39, using X39?
If we have time, I really would be interested to hear what Shar had to say about her kidneys.
Okay, I mean, sure. Like, we could do that. And we're going to do, and hopefully another testimonial with just Shar as well, just talking about her experience thus far as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because Shar, you've only it's just been a week since you've been on the patches, correct? Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah, so if you want to unmute yourself and tell us about your doctor's appointment, that would be amazing.
Well, I just went into my doctor this morning and was going over all of my blood tests with her. And she was telling me how all of my blood tests are good. And I asked her about how the kidneys were doing because I've been in stage 3 kidney disease for at least the last 10 years. And she said, your kidneys are absolutely normal. And I was just blown away by that. I got right on the phone and I told Jody I was so excited. But
That's
I'm seeing
amazing.
lots of different things and can't wait to tell y'all all about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like when Jody, I thought it was Jody who went to the doctor. So I like, I had never heard of anything like that. I mean, it was like blown out of the water. That is just absolutely amazing to have 10 years worth of stage 3 kidney disease and have all of your blood work come back normal. And then for her to tell her you no longer have it. Like I it's mind blowing. I mean, I'm just praising the Lord. Like that is so amazing.
Yes, we were too. That was not what I was expecting. I was expecting to go into today and for her to tell me that I needed to go on more medications. And I just told her that I'm doing something holistically right now. And she said, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. So
Awesome. Awesome.
That's
Thank you so
amazing.
much for sharing, Shar. That's
sure.
incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like we have some testimonials in LifeWave of people that have seen what you just described, where they had kidney disease. And then, but the one person that I always like to share, she was in her 80s and it took about a year and a half of use of the patches for that change to happen. And I've had patients that were not advanced in terms of kidney disease, just kind of early on kidney disease, and it took about like 6 months for that to improve. So the fact that it's only been a week and you're seeing that is truly incredible. That's amazing. But it is possible. It is
Yeah,
possible. We've been seeing that with some people for sure.
I'm
That's
guessing
awesome.
what's happening is like you were talking about, Dr. Caroline, with the whole triage effect that the stem
Yes.
cells in our bodies do, that for her, it just like it all went to right there and went, we gotta clean this up real fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty amazing. And I mean, like, again, I suspect like over time with use, it's just going to continue to get better, right? You're just going to continue to see more improvement. And that's something too that's important to understand is like when you use this technology and it does stimulate the stem cell production, multiple things will be repaired in a person's body. It's just the resources are going to be used in a way relative to the triage fashion, like what's most important first. So some people might be using a patch for their lower back pain, but it's really their kidneys that are being worked on because that's more important for their survival initially. So, and not everybody knows everything that's going on with them. So I just want to say for those of you on the call that have been using the patches for a little while and there's been a kind of a delay in what you want to see, just stick with it and just be consistent, allow for the time that it takes. Make sure you're plenty hydrated. That's really important for all this to work as well. Make sure your mineral status is really good as well. And, you'll start seeing that. If you do any kind of labs, that can be helpful because you can see changes that way where not everybody might see something with their symptoms, but you might see things with your labs. So I think it's good to be aware of that as well and pay attention to that as well. Yeah. Because, the recording that was recently shared by the allopathic doctor that was originally from Malaysia, absolutely agree with her when she talks about not everybody's consciously aware of what's going on with them physically. We don't always have symptoms that we're aware of because we have a threshold of awareness. And so it's good to have those markers to just kind of be able to reference, to see what's happening with people. Kind of like she said about testing the glutathione, right? She tested the glutathione because you don't necessarily feel a change right away with the glutathione, but when she tested it within an hour of putting the glutathione patch on, she saw an increase of 200% increase of glutathione. So that was amazing. So that's just one great example, right? So yeah, so for those of you, yes, Jody, yes. Oh, go ahead and unmute yourself.
So what is the level that we should be at with glutathione? Can you tell that?
One of the ways that I check glutathione is looking at somebody's GGT marker on their blood work. This other doctor did it a different way, but I look at the GGT, and when you have a high GGT, it's an indication that you have low glutathione. And why that's important is because glutathione is, as they say, it's called the mother of all antioxidants. It's the number one antioxidant that protects our cells from damage, from anything that could damage it. And so it's very important from a cancer prevention standpoint to have adequate glutathione. In addition to, let's just say somebody's going to use the patch to increase their glutathione. And the benefit of that in today's world is we're just bombarded with so many toxins and so many things that can do damage. Glutathione really can make a difference with that. But you also need sources of N-acetylcysteine. So you need to make sure you're consuming sources of N-acetylcysteine. So my favorite recommendations where that's concerned is cruciferous vegetables. David will say, go to a supplement store and buy N-acetylcysteine. I'm not a fan of that. That's more like a drug approach to me. I'm more, let's get the natural sources of N-acetylcysteine and consume those, because in my experience, that works better. It works better.
So that's oranges and citrus?
No, cruciferous. So like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, those type of things.
Okay.
And those provide their sulfur sources. They promote sulfonation, phase 2 detoxification via the liver. But you need adequate amounts of those to make glutathione. Even with using the patches, you still need to make sure you have enough of that. And so if you weren't going to eat those things consistently, you can supplement. But I, again, recommend taking a supplement that has those things in there as opposed to that's just my recommendation because of what I've seen. So like I like Standard Processes Cruciferous Complete because it's Brussels sprouts and broccoli in a capsule. So like I'll tell patients, even patients who have estrogen dominance, for example, consume 3 cups of a cruciferous vegetable a day. And that's enough. Like you won't need to supplement anything if you just do that. But if you're not going to do that daily, then maybe the supplement on those days you're not eating those would be the alternative. So you're able to get that in. But that really makes a huge difference with the patches, the glutathione patches working. So I think that's always an important thing to put in there because it's not necessarily in that specific patch. You need to make sure you have adequate nutrition to support it. Yeah. And the X39, it would also be like copper. Copper is important for that. You don't want too much, but you want enough, right? So I feel like, if somebody were to ask me a question on a specific amount, the reason I'm not able to give that is because everybody's different as far as like what their needs are, if that makes sense. And, certain minerals oppose each other. So, zinc and copper are adversaries in a sense. But this is good because it helps with the balancing aspect. A lot of people are zinc deficient, which allows copper to accumulate in the system. So more people are zinc deficient than copper deficient. Let's just say that. So I can't really give a number on that. It's more of case by case, like if somebody needs to supplement with copper or not. But it's just good to be aware of, right? Like you want to make sure you're good where that's concerned, as far as the X39. Yeah. Yeah. So, does anybody else have any other questions? Yes. Hey, Liana.
Hi, Dr. Caroline.
Hi.
Question is the glutathione. Is that something you should wear every day or not?
That's a good question. Not necessarily. It depends on what's going on with the person. So like if somebody knew that they had an issue that was toxin related, like meaning like they had a mold issue, like a mycotoxin issue, that's the same thing, black mold issue, or they were going through some type of detox, or they had an immune challenge at the time, or they had, like I mentioned before, got a blood test and their GGT level was elevated, then I would say those people would want to use the glutathione more frequently, right?
Okay.
Like maybe, right? And some of that's to tolerance level too, because it is going to support detoxification. So some people might experience that and then it's too much. So they might need to back down a little bit on it. So for some people, they might need to use it every other day or a couple times a week rather than every single day based on tolerance. Eventually, as those toxins get eliminated, they'll be able to use it more frequently without challenges. They'll be able to tolerate it better. The detoxification effects better, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So it really depends on what the issue is and what the goal is of the person using the patches. But I do feel that the glutathione is cancer preventative. Let's just say you're in good shape where those, toxicity was concerned and things like that. It
Mhm.
is cancer preventative. Yeah.
So
It does.
for an average person, what would you recommend? 2, 3, 4 times a week or?
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. I mean, it's definitely not going to hurt. It's definitely not going to hurt to do that. So I'd say like if you were, I'm sure different people on here will use certain patches daily, like the X39 daily, the Eon daily,
Right.
for example.
Right.
But the glutathione can still benefit you if you just used it a few times a week, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it daily, but it doesn't have to be daily, in my opinion.
It's not necessary. I tend to wear
Depending on the person and
Yeah,
what you're dealing with. Yeah.
if I know I'm going to be in a large crowd, like a church service or whatever, then I would wear. And I tend to wear it the day before because it says it boosts your immune system 300% in 24 hours. So I wear it on Saturday for Sunday.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. The
Okay.
thing is if you were going to be in a toxic environment, right? If you're going to be in a toxic environment, because the way that you want to think about this is, have you guys heard the term apoptosis versus necrosis?
No.
Have you heard those terms? So if you ever read any scientific literature, cancer prevention is apoptosis, meaning like programmed cell death. The cell is programmed to die at a certain time, and that's preferred because the cell doesn't explode. The cell kind of like naturally, when it degrades, it doesn't break apart. It kind of goes inward and digests itself. It's not when you have necrosis happening and it's because something damaged the cell. If you have necrosis, something damaged the cell. Programmed cell death, nothing damaged the cell. It was just programmed to die at that time, which is preferred. Okay. But apoptosis, the cell explodes because something damaged it and you get all this nucleic material all over the place. And then the body has to then go clean it up. Mostly like it has to go into the lymphatic system. So it puts more of a load on the lymphatic system. This is what can lead to autoimmune issues and cancer. It's one of the factors, right? So necrosis is bad, apoptosis is good. Glutathione promotes apoptosis. And why? Because it protects the cell from damage. So if
Okay.
you're going to go into a toxic environment, it's going to protect your cells against that toxic environment. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and could I ask you about carnosine? I was just in the back office reading that carnosine should be used 1 to 3 times per week.
Mm,
I had
mhm.
never heard that before. Can you speak to that?
Well, I think again, it would depend on like what somebody's goals were and what kind of challenges that they were having that they wanted to support. So carnosine is excellent for brain health. It's excellent for nervous system health, um, and heart health, cardiovascular health. And if somebody consumes sugar, which most people do, there would be value in using the carnosine at least some of the time, because it prevents something called glycation, which is what is the damage that occurs when people consume a lot of sugar. And you see it a lot in people who are diabetic. A lot they experience a tremendous amount of glycation, and that results in a lot of damage in different areas of the body, right?
Okay.
So carnosine as well reduces lactic acid buildup, which can lead to all kinds of issues, including like fibrosis. So there's just a tremendous amount of benefits that the carnosine offers. And so again, you know, it would kind of depend on what somebody was trying to accomplish, right? Like if they had cardiovascular challenges, they might want to use the carnosine even more than what you mentioned. But so many of us are trying to prevent issues, right? You know, any kind of neurological challenges, that would be another reason for the carnosine and using it more consistently.
So is it
Mhm.
okay to use every day if you know, like somebody's that you see heading toward dementia, is it okay to use that for them every day?
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, yes, I'm going to say yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um, but again, I think it goes along with what you said about, you know, reading something where you can use it, you know, a few times a week. Um, you could still get benefit that way. So like, you know, if somebody has dementia, that's definitely important. So they're prioritizing the carnosine and they're using it daily.
Right.
But maybe I don't have those challenges, but I want to prevent, right? So for me, maybe I just use it a few times a week.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yep.
Hmm.
Liana,
And I'm
Liana,
still going to
for
get some benefit from that.
yeah, Liana,
What's
for
that?
me, just to throw this out there, I want every benefit all day, every day. So I wear them all. I mean, and like with the carnosine, I mean, most of us, our eyes start to, decline. And so I know lots of people have had amazing results, not just, I mean, with the X39, but adding the carnosine has made a huge difference in people's eyes. And I've also had my DNA results done. And so my glutathione pathways don't work correctly. And so my belief is that we're assaulted with toxins every single day.
Yeah.
So maybe someone's glutathione pathway works right, but for me, knowing that, I need to have that patch. I need to make sure I have the N-acetylcysteine as well, like Dr. Caroline talked about, so that that pathway has the support that it needs to work right in my body, so that whatever toxins I'm assaulted with on a daily basis can continually have the benefit of trying to move out of my body as quickly as possible. So
Okay.
I just wear them all every day.
Thank you. I was doing the same thing, but then I was reading things and hearing different things. I'm like, wow, maybe I'm overdoing it, but I feel great. So I'm almost 70 and I feel fantastic. I'm not on any meds. So, and I have no pain. So whatever I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing it.
Praise the Lord. That's
Awesome.
awesome. Yes.
Amen.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
Hi,
thank you so much. Yes.
Oh, did you have a question? Yeah.
um, is that for me, Santa?
Oh, is
Can
this
you hear me?
Santa? Yeah.
Oh,
Do you have a
good, great,
question?
thanks. I was wondering for someone who is suffering or kind of at the beginning of dementia, where would you put the carnosine?
Um, there's definitely different locations that you could put the carnosine. Um, Nikki, where do you typically put the carnosine? You want
So
to put it on the
I move it
midline.
around and I've tried all the locations in the book like for 7 days each to see if I notice anything. I
Mhm.
also did like 2 at night, for 1 month. I had listened to David talk on a video where someone had eye improvement and they wore 2 kind of carnosine above each eye on their forehead for 1 month. So I, tried that as well. So I just move it around. Even if I have pain in an area, I know people have talked about getting pain relief with the carnosine.
Really?
Yeah, so I've done that as well. So for me, and Dr. Caroline, you'll have to tell us, but I think it's about finding where you notice something and what works best for you. And so trying all those things and giving it at least a 7-day window to see what you notice is what I feel like I've seen benefits with people in trying to figure out what works for them because everybody's so different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Was it
But-
mentioned once? I'm not sure if it was you, Dr. Caroline. I thought you mentioned it once many weeks back. I mean, I took up on using it once on my back, on my lower back. Was that for the brain health? I mean,
Well, the
did you?
typical place that people, a common place that people put the carnosine patch is right at the bottom of the sternum,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's where. Uh-huh.
Right in there. Yeah, that's a common place for people to put it. Have you tried it there?
I did for myself. I thought, I thought that was, I don't know if it, it's something I do on and
Mhm.
off, not regularly, but for the person who I'm thinking of who was diagnosed with dementia, I was
Mhm.
just wondering where it would be a good place to start.
Well, and
If that
also like,
person,
yeah.
yeah, I started
Um,
putting X39, say, on that
okay.
person, but I would like to know where to put the carnosine as well.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. I know David promotes as well putting like the Y-age, which is the glutathione, the eon, and the carnosine on the midline of the body. So that's kind of why, that was a location I'm
Oh,
sure that they chose. So I think if if you're not sure and you want to
uh-huh.
try different locations, maybe sticking to areas of the midline to start with is a
Mm-hmm.
great place to start. Like, the top of the sternum is popular for, say, glutathione, but you could also do the carnosine there. You could do it at the bottom of the sternum.
Okay.
You could do it, a lot of people like to put the patches on C7T1 on the back of the neck, like the
Yes.
base of the neck on the back. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
spot that you could try it as well and see
Okay.
how you like
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
I personally have stack patches. I like doing that because like
Could
the
you say that again?
X39,
What
I'll stack
did
the
you say?
patches
Oh,
sometimes.
stack patches. Okay. Yes.
Mhm. So sometimes I'll put the X39 on first on the C7T1 vertebra, and then I'll put an Eon on top of it. I do that commonly.
Oh,
But you could do it with carnosine as well if you wanted to try
okay.
that. There's definitely
Oh,
different things
uh-huh.
that you could try. Are they using other patches besides just the
No,
carnosine? Okay.
X39.
Yeah, the X39. Okay, yeah.
Uh-huh. That's it.
You could try that in terms of stacking them as well.
Yeah, I
It's a
like that
possibility.
idea. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Could you expound a little bit on the stacking?
Oh, explain the stacking.
Yeah,
Um,
just benefit of it and why would you do it rather than having 2 different places or?
I think like, for me, the reason I like stacking those two together is because if I just put the Eon on that location, it has a tendency to make me tense. It's just been my experience. And I've heard that some other people have had that experience as well.
I didn't
So,
understand that. It,
oh, the Eon, it increases tension in my upper back.
oh, okay.
If I just put the Eon there, it'll
Okay.
cause me to have more tension in my upper back, which is kind of the opposite of what I'm trying to do. So what
Mhm.
I did instead was I put the X39 there first, and that works great. I don't have that experience.
Interesting.
And then I put the Eon on top of it, and it works fine that way. I don't have the tension that develops because I have the X39 there, and then I just put the Eon on top. But I like the effects of the Eon because it relaxes my nervous system. You know, I'm not so, I have a tendency to be a little bit more in sympathetic mode, obviously, like a lot of us do, like during the day, just trying to get things done and being, you know, on point. And so putting the Eon there just kind of relaxes my nervous system. And so I like putting them at that location because I feel like I notice it more. It's really just my experience of me noticing it more, you know, because sometimes I'll put E on other locations, and as much as it might be benefiting that location, say like I had pain there or something, I don't always feel that relaxation effect as much, you know, and that's, yeah. So I think it just kind of depends on what you're looking again to do. If you're trying to kind of get that relaxation, that's a good spot to put it. But it works better for me if I stack it with the X39. If I had an injury and have pain, I might want to put it like right on the point of pain. You know, the Eon right on the point of pain, and then do the ice wave with it and the X39 with it. And that's we have and you may know this already, but we have the 7 steps to relieve pain. And there's a lot of stacking of patches there too. When we do the 7 steps to relieve pain, some of the patches you're stacking. So yeah, so sometimes it can just benefit in terms of, it's just all about getting results in terms of
I
what
heard
people.
about the 7 steps.
Yeah, the 7 steps. I'll share it in the chat. I'll share the 7 steps for pain, and there's a video that goes with it. And that's really good to have on hand, because let's just say you're patching someone and they have pain and you just use ice wave and that's all you use and they're not seeing results. Then I would just go back and start doing the 7 steps for pain, which is you're combining other patches. You're not just using the ice wave, you're doing the Eon, you're doing the X39, you're adding patches up through a 7-step process. But you may not need the full 7 steps for them to get relief, but you have that to use to get the relief that they need, because different people have different needs and some people might need more than another person. Yeah, so it's kind of good to have on hand.
So is there ever a time when you wouldn't use X39? I guess I thought it was X39 always and then adding others to it. Is that?
Yeah, I would say yes. If your goal is to reverse age, if your goal is to repair damage and put your body in a regenerative effect, that is why you would use X39 consistently. And I don't know anybody who wouldn't want to do that, especially because, you know, we're just bombarded with things that do damage. And the other patches, again, are relative to what a person has going on. But I think another pretty consistent staple for people is the Eon, and because of what it does to reduce stress, because that's kind of an ongoing thing that we experience too. Not everybody's going to need ice wave all the time, you know, they're just going to need it for certain times, you know, until the repair has taken place. But kind of like we talked about earlier, like benefits of using glutathione, benefits of using carnosine, it's good that we have those available to support different repair aspects and health prevention aspects as well, you know? So yeah, but I think, like you said, the X39 is kind of a staple for sure. Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, great. Looks like Nikki shared the 7 steps for pain video in the chat. So she's got it there if you guys want to.
I'm listening to a podcast.
Oh, okay. Nice. Awesome.
I was just going to make a real quick comment about my experience with the carnosine, since we were talking about that, and I know Leanna has a testimony with that. I've had several low back fusions, so with a lot of the pain that I've had in my back, I've noticed if I put the X39 behind my neck and the Eon wherever I want, or maybe by my belly button, but that, I believe it's called the G2 location, kind of at the tailbone, has been a very powerful location for me personally for pain relief in my back. Or I'll put it on top of the Eon. I'll put, like Dr. Carolyn said, put those two together, or put it on top of the tan part. And I know, Leanna, one night, didn't you have pain in your shoulder? And Nikki told you to use a ice wave and put the carnosine right on the brown ice wave, and that pain went away, like right away.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Sandy. That's great, like for people to hear that. That's helpful.
Dr. Caroline, I know we're way over time. It's been so
Yeah.
amazing. We're way over our 30
Yeah.
minutes.
I know we appreciate everything that anybody can contribute, and any questions that you guys have, we want to be able to answer those. And thank you so much, Jody, for your testimonial tonight. It was amazing. And I'm excited to hear how things go over the next couple months. Next week, we're planning on having a call next week. So my goal is to have my patient Neil on the call, and he's been using the patches for a while as well, and he's had some amazing results too. So, and not just what he's experienced, but also lab wise as well. So excited to share that with you guys. So yeah,
Great.
thank you so much for
everyone for
being
being
Thank
here
you.
tonight.
Great.
You. Thank
Good
you, Dr.
night. Be blessed.
Caroline.
We'll
Good
see you
night.
next
Bless
week.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Hi, guys.